Hopefully I don't sound weird. These allergies are kicking my butt. Hello again from the Sportsman's Den. Today we're going to be talking about skate tech and the tech that goes into each component of a skateboard setup. In this video, you'll learn about and get some good fabs to hopefully make selling a little bit easier. The components for a complete skateboard setup are the deck, the trucks, the wheels, the bearings, the hardware, and grip tape. Other components that the customer will most likely know about if they've been skating for a while are risers, bushings, and slide rails. Though some customers still might not know what these are, so let's learn about them. Risers help to mitigate wheel bite. Wheel bite is what occurs when the top of the wheel rubs against the bottom of the deck when you're deep in a turn. Oftentimes, wheel bite can end in an abrupt stop and sometimes even a fall. The riser sits between the deck and the top of the truck to create a little bit of extra space to help prevent that. Bushings are the hard rubber discs that trucks pivot on during a turn. The bushings that come stock with most of the trucks in the case that we have are going to be perfectly fine for most customers. However, if someone is heavier or lighter than their average deck and truck size, recommend them soft or hard bushings respectively. Proper bushings will help the customer feel a lot more comfortable on their board. Slide rails or deck rails are thin strips of plastic or metal that screw parallel to the underside of the deck's edges. They make sliding on features a lot smoother while also protecting the deck's graphic. Now let's talk about some tech and get into some fabs for each component of the complete skateboard setup. First, we'll start with decks. It's important to note that the deck will be the most preference-based part of the setup, but there's still some things we can talk about, such as VX decks. VX means that this deck has 2 strips of fiberglass in between the maple. This makes the deck lighter, stronger, and gives it more pop, all while making the deck thinner. The cons of VX decks is that they are more expensive, and as they wear, will create fiberglass splintering. The next fab for decks is the shape of the deck. Sometimes the shape of the deck can help a beginner identify the nose and the tail of their board. Some decks will have a more rounded nose shape, creating more surface area for the flick required for most tricks. Other decks, such as this cruiser style deck, will be wider, flatter, and will not have a nose. They will have a tail. This makes the deck more comfortable and more practical for commuting or cruising. Another fab for decks is going to be the wheelbase. This, for example, is a kid's board. It has a much shorter wheelbase than an adult's board, for example. A customer more interested in flip tricks and sharper turning may be interested in a shorter wheelbase, as they weigh less and are much less cumbersome. Recommend a longer wheelbase to customers looking to go faster with greater stability. All that being said, how do we properly size a skate deck? Your first clue is going to be the customer's shoe size. For example, the most average shoe size for men, a size 8 to 11, is going to most comfortably fit a size 8 to 8.5 skate deck. Start grabbing decks off the wall and hand them to the customer. Recommend that they set them on the floor and stand on them to see if they like them, see if they're comfortable. Once they find a concave and sized deck that's comfortable for them, ask what they're interested in riding. If they're more interested in flip tricks, recommend them a skinnier board, as this is going to make rotations for flip tricks a lot easier. If they're more interested in pool skating, recommend them a wider board, as this is going to be more stable at higher speed. However, a wider board is going to be a little bit harder for flip tricks as they weigh more and it takes more force to get the board to rotate. Now let's talk about trucks. Standard cast trucks are made by pouring molten aluminum into a mold. These are going to be the cheapest, most accessible, budget-friendly option. These are ideal for everyday street skating, park skating, and cruising. The next type of trucks are forged and/or hollowed. The term forged refers to the compression molded base plate. That's this right here. While hollowed refers to the central axle and kingpin that are drilled out. The benefit of a forged base plate is that it alters the metal's grain structure. This makes it highly dense, impact resistant, and significantly less likely to break. The benefit of a hollowed central axle and kingpin are that it removes the non-structural material, making the truck much lighter without sacrificing strength. Forged and hollowed trucks are going to be a little bit more expensive. We have titanium trucks. The last and most expensive type of skate trucks are titanium trucks. Titanium trucks are premium skate trucks that feature solid titanium axles. Titanium is significantly lighter and stronger than steel. Even though they are lighter than standard steel trucks, titanium axles are highly resistant to bending and snapping. I lied, titanium trucks are not the last type of trucks that we carry. The last type of trucks that we carry are reverse kingpin. Reverse kingpin trucks are easily identified by a rounded hex bolt kingpin as opposed to the standard nut kingpin. Traditional kingpins stick out further than reverse kingpins, which means that traditional kingpins are a little bit more susceptible to catching during grinds. A reverse kingpin creates more clearance between the top of the kingpin and the bottom of the hanger. Because the head of the kingpin has more clearance between the bottom of the hanger, this leads to much smoother and longer grinds, and this also means that your kingpin is protected because it doesn't stick up, it won't get grinded off like a nut sometimes will. So how do we size trucks? Trucks are most commonly measured in millimeters. Essentially, you want the end of the axle to be perfectly flush with the outside edge of the deck. Flush means that the end of the axle won't stick past or come short of the edge of the deck. However, some skaters prefer longer or shorter axles. For beginners, recommend that they purchase a true-to-size pair of trucks for their deck. When selling wheels, we have a few things to focus on: the size, the shape, and the durometer. When comparing wheel shapes, there are two main things to be concerned with: the width of the contact from the wheel to the ground, and the shape of the inside edge of the wheel. The skinnier the contact, the less grip the rider will have, but slides will be easier as there's less friction. The opposite is true for wheels with wider contact. For the inside edge, we're looking at how round the wheel is. A more rounded wheel will be easier to get the wheel into a grind, but will be harder to hold it. And a more squared wheel will be harder to get the wheel into a grind, but will be easier to hold the grind once the rider's in it. If you've ever looked at a pack of skate wheels, you might have seen something like this 100A right here. This is the wheel's durometer. A durometer is a measurement of the hardness of the wheel. The higher the durometer, the harder the wheel is going to be. The lower durometer, the softer and more grippy the wheel is going to be. Harder wheels are going to be easy for slides. Softer wheels are going to be better for absorbing impact. Harder wheels are going to roll faster. Softer wheels will roll slower. Softer wheels are best for street skating, cruising, and commuting. Harder wheels are better for park skating, smooth concrete, and technical tricks. Some wheels will feature a double durometer. Typically, this means that the inside of the wheel is going to be made of a much softer durometer compound, so they're better for absorbing impact and shatter, while the outside of the wheel will feature a higher, harder durometer, making it easier for slides and rolling faster. You get the best of both worlds, but typically they're more expensive, so you pay the price. A skateboard's wheel diameter is measured in millimeters, typically ranging from 48 millimeters to 60 and above. Smaller wheels are better suited for technical street skating, and larger wheels are better suited for speed and smooth cruising. 52 to 56 millimeter wheels are considered the sweet spot and will cover a wide variety of applications. Smaller wheels will accelerate quicker because there's less mass to get moving, but will roll slower once up to speed. and larger wheels will accelerate slower, but will have a greater speed once up to speed. When talking about bearings, we're concerned with ABEC and material. An ABEC rating is a standardized scale that measures manufacturing tolerances and precision. The higher the ABEC, the tighter the tolerances are going to be, meaning there's less space between the racer and the ball bearings. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is a bearing. This outside edge is called the racer, and inside these covers are the ball bearings. Together, you get a bearing. Bearings sit in between the wheel and the axle and hanger of a skate truck, giving you the lack of friction that you need to roll on smooth. The higher the ABEC rating, typically a 7 or 9, is going to roll smoother and for longer. The lower the ABEC rating, typically 5 and 3, are going to roll slower and for less time. Now let's talk about different types of bearings. Steel bearings are the industry standard for skate. They are highly durable and the most cost-effective. Titanium bearings have titanium-coated ball bearings and racer for even less friction, meaning they will roll longer and last longer because titanium is a more durable material. Titanium bearings are also going to be far more corrosion resistant due to the nature of the material. Ceramic bearings are the most expensive option, but properly taken care of can last years. Ceramic bearings get their name because the ball bearings inside are made out of highly compact ceramic instead of steel or titanium-coated steel. Ceramic bearings are designed to provide maximum speed, the longest longevity, and best smoothness. Something noteworthy about bearings. Bones Reds. These are the most popular, by far, sold bearings that we carry, industry-wide. But you'll notice that their box doesn't have an ABEC rating. Why is that? ABEC rating is simply a measurement of tolerances in machining. It is not a standard set for quality of material. People know and trust the quality of Bones, and other companies, such as these Bronson G2s are another very popular set of bearings. People know and trust their quality and aren't as concerned with the ABEC rating. Cheaper bearing sets will have an ABEC rating, but might deteriorate quicker because of less quality materials. Keep that in mind if a customer asks or is curious about other options. Now let's talk about hardware. Hardware is hardware. There's not a whole lot to talk about, other than a couple things. First is going to be the type of hardware, meaning if it's a Phillips head or hex bolt pattern. Allen head hardware is highly recommended because it's a lot less likely to strip. Although it's important to note that if you don't keep an Allen head on you, it'll be harder to locate an Allen wrench if your hardware comes loose when you're at the skate park. Phillips head hardware is going to be easier to strip. That's not to say that they're not durable, but it's important to note that it'll be easier to find a Phillips head screwdriver in case your hardware gets loose. More people have that than the specific Allen head that you need. The next consideration is size of hardware. The most common size will be 1-inch hardware. If a customer likes to run risers, that's going to lengthen the hardware necessary for the skateboard. Common lengthened hardware sizes are 1.1 inch, 1.25 inch, and 1.5 inch. The last part of a complete skateboard is the grip tape. Again, not too much to talk about here, but there's some things to know. First is how coarse the grip tape is. Finer grip tape, meaning less abrasive, is going to be better for technical skating, whereas more coarse grip tape is going to be better for high-speed vert or bowl skating. Many grip tapes nowadays, such as Mob, are going to feature tiny microscopic holes or perforation in the grip tape. This makes applying the grip tape a lot easier and a lot less likely to get air bubbles, as the air can escape through the tiny little holes in the sheet of grip. Some grip comes clear or has fun graphics on the grip tape. It's typically more expensive, but it's a great way to add expression and creativity to your setup. Now let's talk a little bit about longboards. Longboard skateboards are best for commuting, cruising, downhill racing, and carving, offering a smooth and stable ride. Because longboards feature longer decks, larger and softer wheels, they excel at covering lots of ground smoothly, such as this guy right here. Short longboards, often called mini cruisers, are best for urban commuting, nimble carving, and easy portability. Because of their compact size and large, soft wheels, they provide the smooth, fluid ride consistent with a longboard, but the compactness of a regular skateboard. A drop deck longboard features a deck that sits lower than the mounting point of the trucks. This concave bowl-like shape dramatically improves stability because it lowers your center of gravity. Because you're lower to the ground, it also minimizes foot fatigue and makes initiating slides significantly easier. A downhill longboard is a specialized longboard designed to improve stability, control, and better safety at maximum speeds. Unlike cruising decks, they offer stiff, flex-free decks, precise truck geometry, and specialized grip wheels designed to prevent speed wobbles. Downhill longboards are designed to handle extreme speeds. That's going to do it for skate. If you're watching this video, you're more than likely getting paid to, but thanks anyway for sticking around to the end. We'll see you on the next one.